So today I've covered this at the beginning, but I just want you to look at this. In Puttaran ke Sees, but let's read it in Puttaran ke Sees Par Var Diye Sud Char. And again in Puttaran ke Sees Par Var Diye Sud Char. Your steps into Sikhi are going to begin on a day. Do you understand how important today is? This is the day when Guru Gobind Singh showed the world he loves his Sikhs even more than his sons. There is no one like that. Seriously, today is that day. Feel it. Feel the blood of Baba Ajit Singh. Feel the blood of Baba Jujhar Singh. Feel Guru Gobind Singh Ji's roaring Jakara as it runs through the skies today. On this day, Guru Gobind Singh, he clapped his hands together, left Chamkaur Sahib, laid down on the ground. And in these days in Punjab, Sikhs didn't used to eat mitha nahi si khande. And they used to sleep on the floor. Ki ina dinan ch Guru Sahib ji thalle pende hunde si. And I want you just now quickly, and we're going to finish my talk with this, but I want you to read it now. We're going to go through it in the Saka when we go through Chamkaur Sahib, and I'm going to try and give you each step of Chamkaur Sahib. But I want you to sing with me now what Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj sang. I'm just a little bit of a tarna to it, but I want you to sing with me of the Mittar Pyara Shabad, and then I'm going to go into my basics of Sikhi talk. Okay? So let's sing it all together. Mittar Pyare nu, Mittar Pyare nu, jaake kahna, sada haal muridan da kahna, sada haal muridan da kahna. Now what I want you to do, that was just to show you the beginning bit. I want you to focus upon Chamkaur Sahib. Pick a Sahibjada. 2 seconds, pick a Sahibjada. Okay, pick a Sahibjada. Any Sahibjada, right? Chote, Vadde, whichever Sahibjada. Pick a Sahibjada, picture him in your mind, and let's try and see that last moment of that Sahibjada. Whether it's Baba Fateh Singh Ji looking up at Baba Zorawar Singh, whether it's Baba Zorawar Singh with the blood running down from their throat, whether it's Baba Jujhar Singh, arrows piercing his chest, whether it's Baba Ajit Singh riding into the battlefield, whichever Sahibjada is, I want you to picture that Sahibjada. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to sing this with me, and I want us to begin now. Have you all picked a Sahibjada? Yes? Okay, close your eyes. Sit up. Be alert. Okay? I want you to focus on this, and then I'm going to go into my talk. Let's sing it all together. Mittar Pyare nu, Mittar Pyare nu, jaake kahna, sada haal muridan da kahna, sada haal muridan da kahna. And again, Mittar Pyare nu, Mittar Pyare nu, jaake kahna, sada haal muridan da kahna, sada haal muridan. I want you to see Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj lying down, blood dripping down from their feet. Guru Sahib Ji is singing this, a sword in their hand, freezing cold, no one around them, all alone. Dasme Padshah, the King of Kings, Rajan Raj, Panan Pan. Today there is no Daya Singh next to him, there is no Dharam Singh, there is no Ajit Singh, Jujhar Singh. Today he is singing to God by himself, laying in the jungles of Machiwada. I want you to sing that today from your heart. We can experience Guru Gobind Singh. It is not just in cinemas where you can see the Sahibjade. If you open up your heart, you can see them here right now. But that's if you bother to open your hearts today. Let's try and open up our hearts and feel Guru Gobind Singh. Experience Guru Gobind Singh, his voice rising up towards the sky as he sings out to God. So let's sing all together again. Mittar Pyare nu, Mittar Pyare nu, jaake kahna, जाके कहना साडा हाल मुरीदां दा कहना साडा हाल मुरीदां दा बाजां वाले नो जाके कहना साडा हाल मुरीदां दा कहना साडा हाल मुरीदां दा जी साडा हाल मुरीदां दा कहना. I want you to focus, just keep your eyes closed, keep that focus. I want you to think of that today. Sant Jarnail Singh in these days used to lie down upon rocks. We used to put rocks upon his manja, and they said, why? He says, in these days Mata Gujri ji, my mother, slept upon the floor. In these days my brothers Fateh Singh and Zorawar Singh, their bones shaking with the cold, they went through these days. So I want to bring you onto the talk. Yes, I have some time left, which is good. So I want you to look up. Inu band kar do pra. Hello, 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 Hanji. Which one is this? हाँ, उत्ते नु करो. और चल, और चल, और चल, और चल, और चल. बात नहीं, और चल, और बात. और चल, 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 और चल. Yeah, I should have just said go to the beginning. Right? So this isn't actually the talk I want to give today. So why are you giving it? Right? I'm going to build on this. So today I'm going to really jump through this. Like when I say jump through this, I mean jump through it, because I'm going to have to do that today. Right? So let's jump through this. Okay, the talk is called Amrit Shakti. Amrit Shakti. What is it called? Right? Some of you may have heard this pronunciation, Amrit. Those of you from Dwaba, Amrit, Amrit. Yes, Amrit. It's not Amrit. It's not Amrit. It's Amrit. What is it? Amrit. There is a reason for this. You may not know the reason for this. I don't want to tell you. You can ask me. We can leave something with question and answer. But we will carry through this. Amrit Shakti. Okay, let's carry on. Right? Should we go through this? No, haven't got time. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Stop! Go back. Go back. Right. So, I'm talking to you about basics of Sikhi. Now, the basics of Sikhi, right, are Naam Japna, meditation upon God, Vand ke Shakana, sharing what you have with others, Kirt Karni. Yes, we all know that. Yeah, okay, whatever. We know that. Who started doing Naam Japna every day? Let's think about it. You don't have to say, I do it! I do an hour of Simran every day. Obviously, the person who does it isn't going to say. But I want you to question yourself. You know, we can all say, if someone asks you, what are the 3 first rules? Naam Japna, meditation upon God, and then sharing with others, and working honestly. Do you work honestly? Do you share with others? Do you remember God every day? Get up in the morning and do you do that? If you have a gatra running by your neck, do you? This is asking you, do you? You may not think it's not talking to you, but talk to you. Do you, Sukasi? Right? Siri Sahib, God, here, with me, in the strap around my neck. Siri Sahib Ji Sahai, even in our ardas it comes. Right? And those of you, even those of you, I'm sorry, Naam Japna, Vand Shakna, Kirt Karni, do we? Asi ta Guru Nanak de Sikhya. Guru Nanak de Sikhya, Guru Nanak di gal manni. Okay, so moving on. Yo, wake up. I am allowed to lounge. मैं दूरों आया. मैं lounge कर सकता हूँ. Right? Yeah, okay, whatever. You know. But I don't want you to lounge in these talks. If they are boring, then come up to me and say, Bhai Sahab, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ boring ਹੋ, and then I can get someone who's really interesting. I can get my local Gurdwara Gyani, say ਬਹੁਤ interesting ਹੈ, ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ, ਉਹਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਸੁਣੋ ਨਾ, ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸੋਹਣੀ, no, I'm not gonna, he's a very nice guy. Very nice guy. Very nice. If you watch this, Gyani Vikram Singh, बहुत ही चंगे बंदे तुसीं, right? So I want you to just focus. Give me your attention. I know, the first bit was a bit boring and it was about me and whatever. That was to be like, my icebreaker type of thing. Ice breaking? No. You don't do that in these camps. You don't do ice breaking. You do ice breaking. Okay, so that's my ice break. Alright, okay. So now we're getting to the Sikhi bit. Red. Why is Red important? Right? Why is Red important? What does Sikhi begin from? Sikhi begins from getting up and remembering God. Whether you're Amritari, whether you're not, get up in the morning, try Amrit Vela. Guru Nanak Sahib Ji Maharaj in the first paudis of Japji Sahib says, Amrit Vela, Sach Nao, Vadiyai Vichar, Karmi Ava Kapda Nadri, Mokh Dwar. If you start remembering God in the morning, God will cover all of your sins with His love. We buy something when an advert says it. We buy something when the president says it. We buy something when the prime minister says it. When Guru Nanak says it, we say, Koi nahi, 4 baje da alarm 5 baje gaye. Koi nahi, 5 baje da alarm 6 baje gaye. Koi nahi, 6 baje da alarm 8 baje gaye. Koi nahi, फिर दोपहर ਨੂੰ सरदार जी उठते 11 बजे, ढेड ते हाथ मार के, फिर सीरियल, हाँ जी सीरियल खाइए. नितनेम सरदार जी पहले सीरियल खा लेंदे हैं. रब नूं नहीं याद करना जिन्हें मुंह दिता सीरियल खान लई, right? पहला ढिड च पाइए कुछ. As soon as you get up, those people who had Waheguru, the first thing on their breath when they got up every morning, when they died, they were smiling in the battlefield, even if they were cut into bits. Baba Ajit Singh wasn't just made being a warrior. Warrior ਤਾਂ America ਦੀ army ਵੀ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ torture ਕਰਦੀ ਫਿਰਦੀ ਆ. I'm probably not going to get an Esther to come back if you put that out on the internet. If he's listening to me here, CIA, yeah. Those people who are torturing people over else, we army are. We are spiritual army. Khalsa is Kal Purkh ki Fauj. We are God's army. We have Simran. Vakte upar lad mane amrit vele jaap uchara, Bhai Gurdas ji says. When the time comes, those people who got up every morning and chanted Guru, Guru, Guru up to the sky, they were the people who went to Guru when they were in the battlefield. First step of Sikhi is Naam Japna, remembering God. These are your basics. If you're an Amritari, are you living this basic? Do you get up? I am not telling you to do 5 hours of Simran. I'm not telling you to do 20 hours of Simran. I'm asking you, do you get up in the morning and say God's name? If you don't, then you are not in the right game of Sikhi. You are going off the path. Off the path. Woof. 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 Off. East Coast is off. Off. Like Kwafi. Right? Anyway. Okay, alright. Tanu bahut pata. Right? Tahi ta main mic fadya mainu pata hoga tahi main fadya. Right? Anyway. So, naam japna. Yeah? After that, kirt karni, vand shakna. Okay, you know all those things. I want to give you the basics behind Red quickly. So, we all know Khande Bhatti the Amrit, and there is a misconception, and we will clear that up in the Amrit talk, but I'm not going to get onto it now. Carry on. Amrit. Carry on. Pretty self-explanatory. The idea is, that's okay, what the word Sanchar means, we won't do that now. We won't do this now. We won't do it now. We do this. We do this in the Amrit talk. Right? These are the ingredients of your Bani. First ingredient of a Gursikh is Naam, Waheguru Simran, every day, every morning. The idea of getting up and doing Waheguru Simran is not just going, the idea of Simran is to say, Hey Guru, tu va, tan hai tu, you're inside me, you're around me, you're everywhere. Guru Nanak Sahib, you're with me right now. You call a dog and you expect a dog to come running. But when you say God's name, you don't have that much faith in God. If you say Moti or whatever, or Rover, you expect Rover to come. But when you say Vaheguru, Vaheguru, then enough faith. Am I right or am I right? Siana banda lagta. Lagda. Lagda. I think it's just because format the pag banne na aj. Ta lagda siana. Right? Bahut soni lagdi. Right? Anyway, mainu bhi sikhal de. Right? I can tie that pag. I'll show you the pictures some other time. Anyway, so after this, Guru Sahib Ji has given us these ingredients. Whether you're Amritari, whether you're not, you know, I want to give you a secret. When I read these Baniya, you know what I think? Hello, ite dekho. You know what I think when I read these Baniya? Oh, let's see how long it is. Right? It's about this long. Okay, so when I get up in the morning, instead of just right?
Uncle ji ramp बनाना पड़ा अगली बारी.
चलो मुंडे हो इंग्लैंड दी टिकट बुक करो. Right? Soccer बोली देंदी है पता बहुत. Right, so these are the 5 ingredients. But most of you Amritaris, even those of you who are not, when I do these Panjabani, I don't say, oh my God, Panjabani, like, I know, you Amritaris. I know you Amritaris. I can see you sitting in the Sangat, right? I can see you sitting there thinking, yep, that's me. I want to give you a little formula. You know what you want to say next time you do these Baniya? You want to say, Guru Gobind Singh, these Baniya made me your son. These Bani made me your daughter. When I read them today, I'm going to feel that I'm your son. Feel that same emotion. These Baniya gave you the connection to Guru Gobind Singh. Those of you who are not Amritari, I want you to try and read and listen to these as well. And say, Guru Sahib, these are the Baniya of Amrit. One day, pull me into your path of Amrit. When you want it to happen, make it happen. There is no ban. You know, sometimes, there is no ban on Nityanem. There's no ban, right? It's not suddenly like someone who's not Amritari picks up a Nityanem Gutka and you know, some big Singh jumps out saying, no Nityanem for you. We have this illusion. Doesn't matter who you are, Panjabani or Nityanem, I recommend to everyone. And I'm going to tell you what is the point. We know the Panjabani, shout them out. Okay. Oops. Okay. So, we all know who this Gursik is, right? His father died when he was young, and he lived with his mother and his sister Taro, right? By Taro Singh, and Taro was his sister. And what they used to do was they used to live the basics of Sikhi. They didn't talk about it like me on a stage. Every morning, that mother, single mother, looked after her son, woke him up and said, Put, time is to do Asadivar. Aaj aapa Asadivar da kirtan kariye karch. Every evening, that mother would sit down and read Radas with her family. And I want to tell you, even though it sounds cheesy, even though it sounds bad, it's probably written on this because the Christians like to use it. A family that prays together really does stay together. Seriously. If you actually prayed from here, she used to do Ardas, right? Every day. Anyway, carrying on. The importance of the basics, the importance of your Nityanem. What does Japji Sahib do? This isn't just words. Get that out of your head. You know, by Taru Singh, he said, Mom, we're living here in the villages. Even today we say, what can we do for those Singhs who are fighting? What can we do for the Singhs who are sitting to try and get our prisoners freed from jails? What can we do? You know what his mum said? She said, Put, O Singh bhukhe hai. Unhon nu koi khan nahi milta. Unhon nu kuch paun nu nahi milta. Put, ਆਪਾਂ ਲੰਗਰ ਲਾ ਦਈਏ ਜੰਗਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. She sends her only son and her only daughter. Taro is carrying the dal on her head. Bhai Taru Singh is carrying the prashade. Aap sahab hai nangar bhuk, dekh na sake singan duk. The mother says, Put, aj asi prashada nahi shakna. We don't have enough. Aj singhan lai prashada leke jana hai. Seriously. Put, tu na khai, don't eat. My daughter, don't you. Ekdam de bhi Sikh hoya. This is in our history. Pracheen Pant Prakash Ratan Singh Pangu, he writes, Aap sahab hai nangar bhuk. They don't have enough clothes to wear. Bhai Taru Singh's clothes are ripped. 25 years old, Bhai Taru Singh is when Shahidi comes. Hatti, Jappi, Tappi, Sati, Nyang Taru Singh na. Yeah? Paitaru Singh is hatti. He gets up in the Amrit Vela. Hatti means someone who never backs down. Paitaru Singh never backs down. Even if a Muslim fisherman comes to him saying, my daughter has been kidnapped, he goes to the Singhs and he says, Singho, Prashada Shakan to Pehla, we need to get this man's daughter back to her house. And he does. Hatti, Jappi, Tapi. He does jap every day. He does Guru, Tapi. He does so much seva. Nyang. Nyang means he's dressed in Neela Bana, ready to die for Guru Gobind Singh at any point. Taru Singh Naam. Aap Sahib Nangar Pok. They go out into the jungles. Taru is carrying the dal on her head. Hello, utte dekh lo. Taru is carrying the stuff on her head. Seriously. If you don't want to listen, then don't. Right? But if that is the case, then tell me beforehand. I'll make sure you don't have to come to my lectures. But if you're here, then kosh palle palo, because I know this history. The reason why I'm shouting is to get it to you, so you actually know Taru Singh beyond the DVD. I know I'm being jokey, but I also want to be serious. If you're here, lahalo. Yeah? Okay. So, we don't have much time, so I need to run through this. And I will stay within the time limit because you're already behind time. Taru Singh's going into the jungles at night. Him and his sister. And when they're coming back out of the jungles, his mother every morning is waiting. Taru Singh auga kar ke nahi. This isn't a Bollywood or Hollywood story. This happened to someone, 25-year-old, someone who's younger than you. Every day his mum would wait. Mera pot auga. Suddenly, when he comes back, she would thank God. Every day Singha di seva. One day, we know the story. I'm not going to go into it too much. But Paitaru Singh is arrested, and they send 20 people to arrest one Singh. And when they arrest Paitaru Singh, you know what his mum says? He's about to leave. She doesn't say, Pot, apna khyaal rakhi, Pot Rab tenu sukh rakhe, Pot Rab tenu samale. She puts her head on Taru Singh's dastar. Then she puts her head down Taru Singh's face on his dada, and she says, Pot, maina kesanu ਦੁੱਧ ਮਲਾਈ ਮੱਖਣ ਨਾਲ ਪਾਲਿਆ ਦਹੀਂ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਧੋਤਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਸ਼ਨਾਨ ਕਰਾਇਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਸਿਰ ਦੇਖਾਂ ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਸੁਣਾ ਕਿ ਤਾਰੂ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਕੇਸ ਕਤਲ ਕਰਾ ਲਿਆ I'm ready to hear that you've died but I don't want to hear that you've cut your case. A mother says that to her son. Seriously, she says, son, I'm ready to hear that you die. Happily I'll hear that. I'll say I'm the mother of a shaheed. Think about it. Taru Singh leaves, touches his mum's feet, and he says, Mum, jehda simran karaya roz uth ke, jehdiyan rehrasa padiyan, the Japji Sahib you did with me every morning, that's inside me. Main kade dol nahi sakta. Anyway, we all know what happens. Paitaru Singh is given the option, I won't go through it all, but what happens when they cut his head? Right? I will try and show you that the mullah rises. Right? Paini thi rambi kari tar mathiyon dei dabai. Dekho ithe, right? They took the rambi, they took the saw, they got it sharp. Hello, utte dekho. They got the rambi, they got the saw, they put it here first. Paini thi rambi kari tar mathiyon dei dabai. They pressed it into Paitaru Singh's head. And before this, they put him on charkhadiyan. Before this, they put him through all other kinds of torture. Charkhadiyan is those two wheels that press your body together. Then they put the rambi right against his forehead. Then mathiyon dei dabai, mathe to kanna tain, gijiyo dei batai. From each side, they're hammering away at Paitaru Singh's scalp. The blood is running down. This 25-year-old Singh has got blood running down his body. And at the end, they get to the back of his head here. And what they do is they get a hammer, and that bit which is hanging off of the scalp, they cut it off. Right? Paitaru Singh is reading Japji Sahib through all of this. Every day, for every day since the scalp is taken off, he's reading Japji Sahib. And what does Japji Sahib do? What is the importance of your Rahat, of your Nitnem? Na ohe marhan, na thage jahe. Let's read it. Na ohe marhan, na thage jahe. Jin ke Ram, vasai man mahe. And again, na ohe marhan, na thage jahe. Jin ke Ram, vasai man mahe. Those people cannot even be touched by death who have Japji Sahib in their heart. case laye jange. Zakaria said, with my jutti I'll take off your case. And at that moment, Bhai Taru Singh said, it will be my jutti on your head when you die. I have faith in Guru Nanak. That Sikh who read Japji Sahib again and again, 21 days he's there without his scalp. 21 days. On the 21st day, what happens? Zakaria Khan, we've all heard the story. He can't go to the toilet. Then they come, they say, what did Bhai Taru Singh say? They take one of Bhai Taru Singh's shoes and they start hitting him in the head. Eventually his head breaks open. On the other side, they tell Bhai Taru Singh on the 22nd day, Bhai Taru Singh, they tell Bhai Taru Singh, "Thode bachan sache ho gaye." You know, when they heard about Bhai Taru Singh Shahidi, the young Singhs and the Singhaniya, they got into so much josh. They said, "Taru Singh no etta kita Zakaria ne." At that moment, they said, "Right, let's go right now. Hon chalo. Let's go, let's march." This is how much they loved each other. They just think, "Oh, the katapa ho gaya, oh, Sikh nu idda marta." Not like us, we read these khabran, we think, "Oh, ho gaya, theek hai, koi nahi, sanu ki," right? But Bhai Taru Singh actually thought, when the Singhs thought, he's our brother, we need to go. At that time, Nawab Kapoor Singh said, "No, Bhai Taru Singh de bachna nahi marna hai Zakaria. Bhai Taru Singh's words are going to kill Zakaria, not us." They had that much faith. Karma Khand ki bani, jor. Someone who lives in that state has jor, has power in what he says. When they told Bhai Taru Singh put his hands together and said, "Khalsa ji, the time has come for me to go. Kada prashadi deg banao." He did his last Japji Sahib da part, did ardas. In the ardas, his head remained on the floor. Nanak naam chardi kala. Everybody else got up. That is how Bhai Taru Singh went. And you know what it says? Jai Guru Gobind Singh Sut hai char, teh Bhai Taru Singh Dyodidar. Where Guru Gobind Singh's 4 sons are sitting in Sachkhand, Bhai Taru Singh stands outside on guard. That is the place that he got. So, next time you feel like doing Japji Sahib, say, "Oh, remember this 25-year-old saying. Carry on. Jap Sahib. Oh, time ho gaya. Okay, shall we? Can I use 5 minutes? Can I wrap up? Okay, I'm just going to finish this. I spent a lot of time on the basics of Sukha Singh, so I'm sorry for that. Right? Does anybody know this Gursikh? Bhai Anok Singh. I based my Tamal on this picture when I was a kid. Right? Because I did, because they had a massive picture in the Langar Hall. And I used to sit and I used to look and sort of try to copy that, the Malla. Right? Bhai Anok Singh. And I read this line from Jap Sahib. Let's read it together. Ke Achalam Prakash Hain. Ke Amito Subhas Hain. Your light is inextinguishable. Your fragrance is all pervasive. I'm just going to finish with this. I'll wrap this up in my last lecture. Is that okay? I haven't gone through too much of the basics, but Nitnem is pretty basic. Yes? Okay. Harpreet Singh laughs. Right? So, Bhai Anok Singh, this is 1987, the year I was born. Bhai Anok Singh ji, in the summer months, he's arrested at Veroval, taken to Veroval police station. Bhai Anok Singh was such a Singh. You think Taru Singhs only lived 200 years ago? This is a Taru Singh who lived only, 27 years ago, how old I am. He went, Anok Singh, there's a story that he went to, when his sister-in-law had a child, he went there to give pyar. You know, we say pyar dena. Pyar dena means give him a few dollars, or a few pounds, whatever. So he went to give pyar. You know how much he gave? Sawa rupiya. 1 rupee 0.25. She goes, "Bhai Sahab, ede vade movement de vich tusi Singh ho. You're such an important figure, and you're giving me sawa rupiya?" Bhai Taru Singh says, "Main nahi chahta. I live off the Pant's money. I don't want to give the Pant's money to you. This is all that I have, Anok Singh's money. The Pant funds me to fight for the Pant. I don't want to use even 1 penny more than I have to." Sawa rupiya ditta. That's the type of Singh he was. Anyway, Bhai Anok Singh, captured, taken, and then what they do is they start beating Bhai Sahib Ji. They hang Bhai Sahib Ji upside down from the fan. As Bhai Sahib Ji is hanging upside down from the fan, they get hot metal rods and they put them through Bhai Sahibji's stomach. But they make sure that it doesn't pierce anything which is vital. So they put these hot rods through. Bhai Sahibji is hanging upside down, and they carry on this torture, electrocuting Bhai Sahibji. Electrocution was one of the things used there, alongside the metal rods. Then they decided, whilst he's hanging upside down, to take out Bhai Sahibji's eyes. They took out Bhai Sahibji's eyes, first the left, then the right. And as he's hanging upside down, his gears are hanging down, and rivers of blood are flowing down from Bhai Sahibji's head. And as his gears are being filled with blood, covering the floor of the cell that he's in, they decide to cut him off and leave him in a pool of his own blood on the floor of the cell. And the police officers leave him there, and whilst he's on the floor, Bhai Anok Singh Ji looks up as much as he can, tries to move his head, and he hears the guard walking past. And he says, Veera, Veera. And the guard says, Haan? He goes, time ki ho gaya? What is the time? Sama ki ho gaya? He said, Bhai Sahibji, 6 baj gaye. And at that moment, Bhai Anok Singh Ji, laying on the floor, all of a sudden started singing Rehras. Eyes taken out, pools of blood, and he started singing Sodar tera keha, sokar keha, jitva sarv samale, vaje tere naad anek asanka. And in that Rehras he said, Akhan jeeva, visre mar jaun. You think you can kill me? I will only die when I forget my Guru, when I forget my Guru's nitnem. I have my Guru's words, ki achalang prakash hain. God's light is inextinguishable. That Sikh, that Singhni who has Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Jat Sahib, his light, her light is inextinguishable as well. Think about if you want to read Jat Sahib now or not. Bhai Anok Singh's light couldn't be put out. At that moment, when he heard Rehras, the guy took off his gun. He went into the main inspector, who was the head of the police station. He threw it down. He goes, look. He goes, I can't kill these angels. Here's your gun. Allah. And at that moment, the inspector said, I don't know what these things have. Anyone who comes in contact with them, all of a sudden joins their side. What is it that they have? Ki amitto savasana. Bhai Anok Singh had a fragrance inside. And that fragrance changed the life of even the policeman who was outside, who was torturing him. He threw down the gun. Think about it. The policeman who was torturing him threw down his gun. What are you going to throw down today? What are you going to throw down in these next few days? Take that fragrance of Jap Sahib in, and you will have that. So I talked about the basics. I wanted to go through case, the Panchakakar and all that type of stuff, but if you know what I'm like, I try and go through deeply. And the first bit was obviously, Hasana Kelana, whatever, to make you, not scared of me, as you should all be afraid of me. Very afraid, But I wanted to make myself approachable, that's why I took that time. I've gone over 5 minutes, hopefully that doesn't affect the schedule too much. But I promise you I will go through Swayye. Let's just bring up the Swayye, so. Teaser, Swayye. Chopisa, Anansa, Red, Case, yeah, I'm going to go through Kade, Kripana, Nitane. Go back. This story is my favorite story ever in the world. Haji? Was it?
I recently heard.
Oh, acha, YouTube there? Acha. That's very good. Alright, so this story I will tell you, I promise to tell you in person. But these are two people. Professor Pooran Singh writes in English. If you haven't read Professor Pooran Singh, what have you been doing with your life? Read Professor Pooran Singh and Bhai Veer Singh. Bhai Veer Singh is, I have a picture of Bhai Veer Singh in literally every room in my house. And my mum's like, Tera damag nahi se. So there's one of Bhai Sahib standing, there's one of Bhai Sahib sitting, there's one of Bhai Sahib chonkada, one of Bhai Sahib doing with a heart in his neck like this. But literally, Bhai Singh was such a great soul. You know, one day they wanted to give Bhai Singh an award on stage. And Bhai Singh said, no, I can't. They wanted him to speak on stage. He's written so many. You know what he wrote on a piece of paper? He wrote, Hum rulte firte koi baat na puchta. Gur Sadgur sang kire hum tape. Go and read that on stage. That's the type of Singh he was. So I'm going to go through all this with you. I want to instill the basics. Nitnem, there is something in Nitnem. It is not just there to bore you. It's meant to be a conversation. Don't read it like this. Same thing we do in the Khan Parsa. In the middle of the great Jani going, and at the end in the sloka Malana, like that. Like, why don't you read part of it like that beforehand? But I want you to experience Nitnem, 5Ks, whether you wear them or not, there is a reason. Try and experience it. I've taken now 7 minutes over, so I'm going to drop the mic, not literally because that would be foolish, right? But in metaphorically, so I'm going to pass over to Harpreet Singh. Please forgive my mistakes. If you need to speak to me, please come and speak to me. If I'm in my cabin, then even then, but I don't think you're allowed into the cabin, so don't go into the cabins. But just speak to me, grab hold of me. I'm Sukha Singh. So Pulla Chukani came out. Please forgive me. If I seem like I'm shouting at you when I say Utho Jago, it's because I don't want to speak to goldfish. I want you to be interacting. And I know I haven't given you time for question and answer and all that type of, touchy-feely, oh, we all love each other stuff, yeah? But, that wasn't really my point today. So, hands together, Fateh Bulaiye, Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj nu yaad kariye. Let's all say Fateh together. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.